What up, everyone? The vacations of our politicians has been a topic that has definitely been in the news ever since the new year in Canada. It all started with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his winter holidays first came under scrutiny. Trudeau, his family, and several of his Liberal colleagues decided to take a vacation on the Aga Khan's private island. The opposition jumped all over this and demanded that the Ethics Commissioner review the proceedings, of which they have agreed to undertake the review. So far, we've heard nothing as to what has been found or any rulings. Now, this puts Prime Minister Justin Trudeau it does put him in a bad light. It does, in a way, put another blemish on him. Now it does appear maybe there's questions about this holiday. There's definitely questions. Was this somebody trying to buy his time to buy political favors? Was it really just an innocent holiday between Justin Trudeau and a family friend, which the case has definitely able to be argued that it's either or. And it's up to the Ethics Commissioner to determine exactly what's going on. But that still, as stated, leaves the blemish on Trudeau's record. This has definitely left a blemish on Justin Trudeau's record, which isn't necessarily perfect as of late. You could go back to in Sherbrooke, Quebec, where he only answered in French, regardless if a question was asked in English. And he did the inverse during a meeting, town hall or whatever, and I believe it was Peterborough, Ontario, where he did the opposite, where he answered in English even if there was a question answered in French. However, it was the French answers that caused the ire and ended up getting a complaint filed. And then you top that off also with how he handled the oil field protests and taking what should have been a reasonable comment with the phase out and making it unreasonable, making it a ridiculous comment. So right now he has a history of shooting himself in the foot. Which is also why I don't think that suspicion of at least having a healthy bit of skepticism about this trip, about these plans, isn't necessarily unjustified. We'll know more, of course, when the Ethics Commissioner completes their review. Now, for Justin Trudeau to do this as the sitting Prime Minister of a majority government, it does not look good. When you're the Prime Minister of a majority government, the opposition can do very little to oppose what you want to do. So if just say in the worst possible case scenario that it is corruption and somebody has bought a favor from him, there's very little the opposition can do to put the kibosh on that. Now, what makes this more interesting now is the leader of the opposition, leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, Rona Ambrose, currently took vacations of her own, which ironically ended up on the private yacht of a billionaire who happens to be an oil field financier. She criticized Trudeau for his vacation, and then she ends up doing something similar. Now, the reason I wanted to do this video was to contrast the two cases. There have been a lot of people that I find have aggressively criticized Trudeau for his actions, and I could agree with some of those criticisms, yet are completely willing to forgive Ambrose for hers. Using some of the arguments I just gave you. Ambrose is in the opposition. Her party has a minority of the seats. Every other party that's in opposition, if you tally their seat numbers up with the Conservative seat numbers, they come nowhere close to what the Liberals have. So they can't do anything to block anything the Liberal Party wants to do. So if she wants to vacation on a yacht of a billionaire, she can't really do anything if, let's just say, for the sake of argument, again there, with the worst possible case scenario, and favors are bought, she can't deliver on anything. Which, valid point, but it could be easily countered, incredibly easily countered. The Conservatives want to win the next election. So are you going to tell me that if a favor was bought, for the sake of argument, that there'll be a time limit, that suddenly if they take power again in 2019, oh, it expired? Come on. I'm with you that Justin Trudeau doing something like this is much worse. When the Prime Minister does it, especially if they have a majority government, is much worse. But we can't forgive the opposition leader. Now, to be fair, the opposition leader, her vacation ended up approved. There's been no need to investigate hers, and that apparently has been the ruling. So, when I look at it this way, okay, she didn't do anything wrong. He could potentially did, but it doesn't mean that there isn't, the aesthetics, the appearance it doesn't look good. And that's the point I'm trying to make. One is clearly worse, but we can't pretend that the other doesn't have the potential to be bad. That's what I'm trying to say. In the worst case scenario, Trudeau's case is worse. So much worse. Outrageously worse. But in the worst case scenario on the other side, it may not be just as bad. It might not be a full equivalence. But we can't act like it's forgivable. We can't act like it's appropriate behavior. And that's what I find we're doing. What a lot of people are doing. They're willing to forgive the actions of the opposition just because they're not in power. Every party in the House of Commons, whether they actually have a chance of winning the next election, is supposed to act like a government in waiting. And if this next government is going to be conservative, there should be a little bit of a question mark now, if the worst case scenario turns out to be true. However, like I said, there is no suspicion brought forward on Ambrose's vacation. I have to stress that. But it's purely optics. And unfortunately, in the world of politics, if the perception is negative towards you, unfortunately, that's what will matter. Perception is reality in the world of politics. If you're perceived as weak, if you're perceived as ineffectual, if you're perceived as corrupt, unfortunately, you're screwed. And I think it's another case where I feel people need to be conscious of, are you playing for a team? Because if you're so willing to condemn Trudeau, but completely forgive the other side, when actually thinking rationally, unfortunately, you are incredibly biased, and you're lying to yourself. You're playing for a team. And I would have more respect for a lot of people if they would just be upfront, going, "Yeah, I'm playing for Team Blue, or I'm playing for Team Red." And in that case, when the opposite team does something, yeah, I think it's worse when they do it. Anyway, this is just how I feel. I can't let it. This is just personally how I feel. I think it looks bad on both parties. Maybe it's just because I'm too cynical. Maybe I am very much too cynical to cover politics, but that's just how I feel. Anyway, I thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you agree, disagree, or want to continue the conversation, please leave a comment. Consider subscribing, and overall, have yourself a good day. Until next time.